Hello everybody, glad to see you back for another video. So 2020, starting off a year, we're gonna try something new. Because if you know me, I try something new on my channel like once a month because I have like adult attention attention disorder if it's ADHD? Anyway, I have a short attention span. That's why I'm all over the place on this channel and I do lots of different hobbies and lots of different things. What we're gonna try to do, I have been trying to get productive enough to get a couple videos out a week on these channels to you guys for well over a year now. I split off and started a secondary channel for all the cigar related content that I used to do on this channel because YouTube started getting a little weird about demonetizing entire channels over that. So I split that off and that's its own thing now. I thought, what can I do that I could do videos relatively quickly for me? And what I came up with is kind of an offshoot, something I was already doing in the man shit segment. One of my favorite things in the world. It's over there on that table. Whiskey. So this is my thought. What we're gonna try to do is start another segment because that's what I do on this channel. I have 32 segments. I wanna start one called Leaf and Barrel. And what I'm gonna do is on the main channel, we're gonna do like a whiskey of the week to where I go over a whiskey, we talk about it, kind of a brief, just overview, do some tasting notes, give you my thoughts on it. And then for any of you guys that are interested in the cigar stuff, we'll do a part 2 of this video, volume 2, whatever you want to call it, the leaf version of the Leaf and Barrel, barrel being the whiskey, over on the second channel, Jeremy Cyrus After Hours, and we'll go over a cigar of the week and pair a cigar with the whiskey we tasted on the main channel. That sounds more complicated than it really is, but I'll link the second video at the end so you can easily find it, all that happy horse shit. So that's my thought. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping this way, if I can knock a bunch of these out at the beginning of every month, I can release those throughout the month to you guys, and then that gives me time in between those videos to focus on the longer reviews and stuff. So that way we can hopefully get up to 2 videos a week on each channel. We'll see. I haven't been great at that in the past. I got to keep up with the man shit segment. I've got cigar stuff on the other channel. Lots of stuff going on. All really fun, all really interesting, but we'll see. Hopefully this will work. It hasn't started off well because this video is supposed to be shorter and I've already been talking for like 3 minutes. We haven't even talked about the whiskey yet. Such is life, or such is my channel. So today we are going to crank off the first iteration, first segment, the first episode, the first whatever of Leaf and Barrel. Okay, so for the first whiskey, for the barrel part of Leaf and Barrel, today we are gonna go over Pikesville Straight Rye. Rye whiskey is something that I historically have not gotten into very much. I think I've talked about this before on the channel. I am a bourbon man. I was born in Kentucky, cut my teeth on bourbon, so I always fall to my bourbon roots kind of, and that's kind of my preferred whiskey. However, as of late, I have ventured into many scotches. As you've seen in some of my videos before, I've kind of grown my palate to really appreciate a lot of scotches, and I've been digging more into some of the ryes lately. That's a super popular thing right now. It's a little hipster, and I know I'm gonna get some of the hipster comments because of the beard and the tattoos. Everybody, if you have a beard and tattoos, people are gonna call you a hipster. First off, I'm not a hipster. I think I'm too old to be a hipster. Can you be a hipster and be 41? I don't even know. Secondly, what's wrong with hipsters? Those guys seem all right. They got beards and tattoos. I'm good with anybody with beards and tattoos, but hey, whatever. Today we're gonna go over Pikesville Rye. I have my whiskey Bible here. What I do is I keep a journal, and I know this is a little geeky, but I keep a journal, and when I sit down for with a whiskey for the first time, I write notes. Write notes on the whiskey, that way I can refer back to my notes, because for a video purpose, I feel like me tasting it the first time, sometimes I might miss some stuff, and with the notes, I've had longer to kind of sit down and really think about what I'm tasting. This way I can kind of combine tasting it with my notes that I've taken in the past and hopefully give you a pretty good idea of how I feel about the whiskey. So anyway, Pikesville Rye. This stuff is really hot right now. A lot of people talk about it. Ooh, smells delicious. I'm also trying out, and I also got to watch out how much I pour because I'm going to try to shoot like 4 or 5 of these videos back to back. And if I make too big of pours by the last video, I'm going to be slurring and so I got to go easy on the pours. Also trying out some new whiskey glasses. You know, I just did this best whiskey glasses video, and then I'm self-proclaimed bourbon guy, didn't do the official bourbon trail glass. Fail. Let's give you some quick info on this rye first. Pikesville Rye is 110 proof, 55% ABV. It is aged for at least 6 years. It used to be made in Maryland, which I also spent some time up in Maryland. I actually lived up there for about 6 or 7 years when I was younger. It used to be made in Maryland, hence the Pikesville, because that is an area up in Maryland, but now is made in Kentucky by Heaven Hill. So this is now a Heaven Hill product, which I actually lately have been really enjoying more Heaven Hill products. I think I'm kind of a fan of Heaven Hill, but I didn't think I used to be, but lately I've been kind of digging the Heaven Hill. I'm kind of on it. The mash bill on this is 51% rye, 39% corn, and 10% malted barley. So for a rye, this is pretty mellow. This is like the bare minimum. You got to be at least 51% rye to be considered a rye whiskey, and this is exactly 51. So this isn't a crazy high rye. It's a lot of ryes. Like some of them are 100% or 99%. Some of them are way up there. So I think kind of a better entry into ryes if you are more of a bourbon person. It's not going to just knock your head off. And I think that's about it for my notes. See? Whiskey Bible. With whiskeys, I found if you pour them and you try to nose them right away, you get a lot of that alcohol, the vapor, the fumes and stuff. I used to hear people describe some of these notes of, they go into all these nosing notes and I'm like, man, I never get any of that shit. I am getting like an alcohol kind of ethanol kind of thing, and I might get like 1 or 2 of the things they said. Then I found that the longer I let it sit, if you let that kind of air out for 10 or 15 minutes and some of those alcohol vapors kind of subside, you really can get into some of those more subtle notes. So if you're like me and in the past you've had a hard time getting some of these nose notes that you hear a lot of these YouTube guys talking about or these whiskey guys talk about, try letting it sit and let it breathe for about 10 or 15 minutes and go back to it and see if you don't pick up some more stuff, because I know that's worked a miracle for me catching some stuff. So some of the things I said on this one is, on the nose, I got some fruity sweetness, almost citrus, a little tad bit of brown sugar darkness, and maybe just a touch of oak. For rye, this was a little different nose than what I'm kind of used to. You get some of those more brown sugar kind of vanilla bourbony notes that I'm not used to getting in ryes. You still get a little bit of that rye spice. I definitely get some like orange citrusy kind of vibe going with this one. But on top of that, like I said, you get a little bit of this kind of brown sugar oaky type thing that reminds me more of a bourbon. It's very sweet. It doesn't give me any of that kind of eucalyptus, super minty smell that some ryes give me. It smells a lot sweeter than most ryes. Get a little sippy sip of this thing. It's got a really nice mouthfeel. And I hate saying mouthfeel because that sounds a little weird to me. It's kind of the texture of it in your mouth. Whiskey's actually, depending on the proof and a lot of other characteristics, can vary greatly between like being super watery, oily, sometimes they're almost a little thick and velvety feeling. This has got a little bit of a nice kind of smooth, not super watery, borderline oily mouthfeel. It's a little sweet. When you swallow it, you definitely get a little bit of that spiciness in the background, kind of the back part of your tongue, a little bit of light burn. It's a good burn though. It's not like cheap alcohol burn, but just like a pleasant little bit of tingle spiciness. I feel like a little more rounded off flavors than some ryes I've had. It really is kind of smooth, and when I say smooth, I mean rounded off. So some whiskeys can have a lot of like spiky, real sharp, pointy, kind of, they hurt you a little bit. Like this is it's warm, but it's very rounded off and smooth and pleasant to drink. So yeah, on the front end, you get that little bit of sweetness, maybe a little bit of citrus, a little bit of burn on the back end, but like the good burn. And then after it's been on your palate for a minute, on the back end, kind of finish, which it's got like a good medium finish on it. It hangs around in there for a while. You get more of this kind of a little bit of a cinnamon flavor, maybe a touch of, and this is where I say it kind of reminds me of a little bit of bourbon, which maybe it's because it's got such a low amount of rye in it, why it reminds me of bourbon. Maybe even a little bit of apple, especially the longer it lingers. I kind of get like, and this happens a lot with bourbons to me, maybe 30 seconds after you swallowed, you start getting this flavor in your mouth that reminds me of the flavor that's left in my mouth after I drink apple juice. It's not super sweet like when you're drinking apple juice, but the kind of remnants that your mouth tastes like after drinking apple juice. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just what I'm getting. Taste are subjective. Don't judge me. And I'm even getting a light bit of wood, like a little bit of oak. And that's what I said. I think if you're a bourbon person, I think you'll really dig this. I think this would be a great introduction into ryes. I've had some ryes that were a little aggressive and very like eucalyptusy, minty kind of vibe that I didn't particularly love. This one is kind of, to me, almost like a high rye bourbon. It has a lot of those bourbon flavors, but with some of the other kind of elements you get in a rye, like some of the citrusy notes and whatnot. An extremely pleasant drink. I think you can get this stuff for around $45 to $60 a bottle. I don't like to give out prices because I've given out prices in videos before and people are like, how the hell are you getting it at that price? I can't get it around here that cheap. Prices are very regional, but I would say somewhere between 45 and 60 is going to be the price point, which for 110 proof whiskey, I think that's a pretty good deal. By the way, this thing does not drink like 110 proof. It is a very easy, nice sipper. This also won San Francisco Spirit Competition 2015 Double Gold. Rye Whiskey of the Year, #2 Whiskey of the World. So this thing has won quite a bit of awards. It's a very popular rye. There has been a lot of buzz. If you watch a lot of YouTube whiskey guys, this is guaranteed on their list. I'm always talking about the guys at the Whiskey Vault. Love that channel. But another great channel is it's Bourbon Night with Chad and Sarah. Two really great people. They do some really detailed, awesome whiskey reviews. They really focus more on bourbons and ryes and stuff. They don't really go into scotch too much, but if you're into bourbons and ryes and whiskeys, they have a fantastic channel with lots of really great information. This is actually one of their favorite ryes they talk about quite a bit. They did a flight fight with a bunch of ryes, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this came in high up there. I think it finished in the top 3 of all the rye whiskeys, if I'm remembering their placement correctly. But really, really great stuff. And like I said, it's won, I mean, it ran Rye of the Year and #2 in the world. So hey, how bad can the shit be, right? If you're a bourbon person and you are wanting to dip your toe into the rye category, I think this would definitely be a good jump off point. Definitely give it a try. I completely understand why this thing has gotten a lot of buzz in the whiskey community. It is a really pleasant, easy sipping whiskey. So definitely Pikesville Rye, give it a try. That's a lot of rhyming and I didn't even mean to do that. So that's it for this week's Leaf and Barrel Whiskey of the Week. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out and having a little bit of this Pikesville today. If you did, feel free to smash that like button. That always helps us out. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so. We'd love to have you on board. If you are interested in checking out what cigar we pair with this and going a little more into detail, definitely, I'll link up above. Be sure to click that and go over to part 2 of this video. Little teaser. Demonetized. I showed a cigar in the video. Demonetized. If not, I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and we will see you in the next video. Can't waste whiskey. It's damn whiskey, son. Some delicious stuff. These bourbon trail glasses are pretty good too. I like them. Should have put these in the damn lineup when I did that video. Fail. Horrible fail.